Okay, Derbyites, those rascally Emmy nominations are out for 2016, and lots of surprises here. I'm Tom O'Neill of Gold Derby with our executive editor Paul Sheehan, Marcus Dixon, and Daniel Montgomery, and I suspect Chris Beachum will be with us in a minute here. The big headlines are this, and that is that two new shows broke in a big way. Master of None got nominations for writing and directing and show and for actor. And on the drama side, Mr. Robot made it big across the board, although Christian Slater got snubbed and it was not nominated for directing, just for writing. But two relatively new shows that have been around for a year or a few more finally broke in. Two newcomers in terms of the Emmys are here, and that's The Americans and Blackish. And so let's take it from there. Paul, what are your initial reactions here?
Well, I think, really kudos to FX with The Americans, because, that's a show, the critics have adored it for 3 seasons, and the Emmys have virtually ignored it. Writing nomination, a win last year for Margot Martindale. But to get in, not only for series, but to get their 2 leads, Matthew Rhys and Kerry Russell, in, is really extraordinary. And at the expense of somebody like Juliana Margulies, on the actress side. So
Good Wife was snubbed across the board.
Yeah,
you can usually count on Christine Baranski getting in and Alan Cumming, tried and true. They're out, no writing. The rest
got
of it
writing.
Was really something.
No, Marcus,
they did get writing?
Yeah.
It got writing, it got guest actor and guest actress and costume, so just 4.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You know what was a big surprise in terms of snubs here? Orange is the New Black, not in for drama series, and no Uzo, the 2-time recent winner. Wow.
Yeah. What do you make of that, Daniel? Because you've written about diversity at the Emmys. Is it Emmys so diverse? I mean.
Yes and no. I mean, a lot of diverse programs that we were expecting to get in did. The People vs. O.J. Simpson got 22 nominations. A lot of those nominees are people of color, including a couple of their directors, one of their writers, and several of their actors. And then, programs like Roots getting in. Orange is the New Black is a little bit disappointing because not only is it a show prominently featuring people of color and Hispanic people of color who are also underrepresented across the board, but also women, which, not necessarily a good news for women in the drama series category with the absence of this show. And then, in a couple other places, women underperformed that we might talk about.
And Marcus, what did you make of them all? I mean, you're the one that actually published the full list this morning.
Right. And I was watching the nominations live when Anthony Anderson heard his name called for Blackish. That was such a cool moment. I don't know if you guys saw that live, but that was great. I expected more from Blackish. I mean, it got the big 3. It got actor and actress in comedy. I expected writing and maybe supporting.
It got nothing else. It was just only 3 nominations, yeah.
And speaking of, shows that declined, Modern Family, the one-time favorite of the Emmy, got 4 nominations. Casting,
and
comedy series, Ty Burrell, and sound mixing.
And to think just 3 years ago, all 6 of the actors got in, and now they're just down to 1.
Down to 1.
Not even Julie Bowen in there.
Mozart in the Jungle, 1 nomination, sound mixing. That's it.
Hey, Outlander, my favorite little show. Only got 2, right? But
2 good ones.
At least 2 good ones. 2 good ones. Production design, and costumes. Game of Thrones. That's 23 nominations down. Actually won last year. I got my count right. But look how these actors did. Kit Harington got in, baby. I'm telling you. I've got him down as the winner. I've had him down for a while as the winner. I think I'm onto something here.
You are.
And look, how many? 5 of the actors in? Marcus, you're our Game of Thrones nut. Take it away.
Nobody saw Maisie Williams coming. That is one of the best nominations in the history of the Emmys as far as I'm concerned. First of all, she's a child. They hate children. But she had a great season. And they didn't kick out Lena Headey. They didn't kick out Emilia Clarke to fit her in. They kicked out Christine Baranski and Margot Martindale from The Good Wife. It's just, Game of Thrones fans are just over the moon today.
And do you think, hey, Daniel, you love your Doctor Who. Do you think, wasn't Maisie Williams on a couple of really key episodes of Doctor Who?
Yeah, she had an amazing arc this season on Doctor Who. Doctor Who was on the ballot in several other categories, but Maisie didn't submit for guest actress, which is a little disappointing. Not that she would have gotten in anyway. The show didn't get in anywhere, but,
But what I mean is, like, they're seeing her. Some people are seeing her twice over. If you're watching Game of Thrones, you may well be watching Doctor Who. Those kinds of the people that are voting, really embraced it.
And by the way, my heart broke when Full Frontal with Samantha Bee was not nominated. I mean, she would have been the first talk show ever in this category.
Hosted by a woman.
Hosted by a woman, thanks. Oprah did get in for like informational series a while back. But, I mean, they nominated Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee instead of this. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that was shocking. Looking at when they announced that category, I was thinking, okay, they brought in Jerry Seinfeld and they brought in James Corden, but it's like they were actually saying, I'm sorry, if you are a woman, you're just, we don't think you're funny, which is just.
They tossed out Stephen Colbert too, and they tossed out Daily Show. No,
well,
I mean,
but Stephen Colbert now in this new iteration on CBS he's playing. He was playing a character, and they liked it. They've seen the real Stephen Colbert, and they're not as enthused about it.
Well, they're wrong. Stephen, if you're watching, you deserve to be nominated.
No,
you was robbed, baby.
Chris is here. Chris is a big James Corden fan. He got in for Variety Special, too, as well as Variety Talk.
Veep overperformed, right? 3 directing nominations, 2 writing nominations, and nominations galore across the board. Hugh Laurie didn't get in there. I was surprised by that, but it got Anna Chumsley, right? And it got Tony Hale, right? It got
Matt Walsh.
That's true. So it got 17
total.
Yeah.
What? It's only had 9 the last 2 years. It went up from 9 to 17. Whoa, baby. Meanwhile, if we're looking as prognosticators as we do to what could possibly take it down, there's speculation that maybe Transparent could take it down, but Transparent did not get nominated for directing today. It did get nominated for writing. Tambor's in again. Of course, it's up for series. Chris just joined us, our managing editor. Chris, Transparent underperformed, didn't it?
Yes and no. I mean, in some ways it did, but then it got in an extra supporting actress beyond Gabby. It got Judith Light.
Well, that's true.
And 2 guest stars, Melora Hardin and Bradley Whitford, who won last year. It fell in one way, but I think it gained in another. I would say if anything, it held steady.
And also, I just want to say about Veep, because here we were chiding them for the potential for vote splitting by submitting more than one in some of the creative categories, and that didn't happen. They did well out of submitting more than one episode in different categories.
Yeah. They did very well.
So
surprisingly, I think the Veep juggernaut cannot be denied this year. Game of Thrones, 2 got in 3 for what was it? Directing, or 2 for direct? What was it?
It must be directing because I think they only submitted 1 episode for writing. So is one of them Battle of the Bastards?
Battle of the Bastards.
Oh, that's marvelous. Yeah. Because there was some concern that and Tom talked about when we look down these lists because there's this overwhelming number of potential contenders up into the hundreds. So just how important is name recognition? Because that had been a concern about the director of Battle of the Bastards. He wasn't as well known as the directors.
Look at the nominations today. John Travolta, David Schwimmer, Cuba got in, Gooding Jr., and we weren't expecting that. Name recognition means quite a bit.
Except
Maggie Smith is back.
But except if you have Sir in front of your name, I was shocked.
Yes,
and this is when I realized this isn't your father's Emmys anymore. That the dresser, which I mean, and Chris, we're the older generation. In the old days, the dresser would have been a slam dunk.
Yeah, it came out too late in the cycle, and I think that we're all painfully recognizing that the voters are not watching Stars. It only got the 2 nominations for Outlander, and which had the potential to do very well today. It even had the potential to be nominated for series. I think most of our experts, or at least half of them, had Katrina Balfe from Outlander getting nominated for actress. It was very, and certainly The Dresser, as you're saying, it was such a prestige production with Ian McKellen and Anthony Hopkins, and I loved it. I thought it was mesmerizing. But they just weren't watching it there. They're not used to seeing these kinds of made-for-TV movies on Stars. In their mind, those go on HBO.
And so the lesson for some of the smaller networks is don't put your shows out at the end of May. I mean, this is get them out. I mean, the Dresser aired on the BBC last fall. There was no reason it couldn't have been a Christmas present to Starz subscribers.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Paul, and then another thing, it was late across the board for all of the networks, including Starz, to send their DVDs out. Period. And they could have sent out, they could have aired the Dresser or any of their shows earlier, and then got those DVDs out. And there were only about 3 networks that got them out early, and that often is make or break because there were a record number of DVD shipments to boxes to the Academy members this year. There were more than 50, which is astounding. Usually, like there's 22 or something, but they were all very late this year, shockingly late.
And just I'm smiling about the fact that I was disheartened that the Dresser got bounced, but it got bounced for that Netflix.
Oh, a very Murray Christmas. Oh my God, garbage!
No. It's the power of Netflix. I mean that. You're an Emmy voter, and you got a huge. Tom's wanted by the press. He's going to be commenting on the Emmys. But what he was telling us is these boxes were so lavish, and one of our contributors, Ralph Galvin's also a TV Academy member. I mean, it was pounds upon pounds of Netflix. So just Chris, you're out there in LA. I mean, which networks were sort of, do you think, did the best at putting themselves in front of voters?
One thought I had when you said that about people being so late, wasn't the very first one out Unreal from Lifetime way back in January, February, and they got Constance Zimmer and they got a writing nomination today. So that's a small, first year show that got some recognition probably because they were the first ones out.
Yeah.
And speaking of shows that aired too late, I mean, Roots came out May 30th or May 31st, and it got 7 nominations, which is great. But it had none of the actors got in, no writing, no directing, and I wonder if it would have got more if it had aired beginning of May or end of April.
Well, Daniel interviewed.
Sure, you're right.
Yeah, Daniel interviewed lots of those people, and it was ready. And it's another one of those things. Why, put it out. When did it air, Daniel? Over Memorial Day weekend?
May 30th to June 2nd, but I don't think the late date actually hurt it. It might have actually helped. I think what hurt it in the acting categories was a combination of the People versus O.J. Simpson juggernaut. It just sucked up all the air in a lot of those acting categories, and lack of name recognition for most of the Roots cast, except for Forrest Whitaker and to a lesser extent Anika Noni Rose. These are not names that are readily known to TV Academy voters. So I'm not entirely surprised it didn't get in for acting. I'm a little bit more disappointed that it didn't get in for writing or directing at all.
And then, Tom, you've been muted.
Okay, stop the presses. Stop the presses. I have just gotten an email this moment from Ryan Murphy. And it reads, woo-hoo! A fun and great morning for me and for you. Gold Derby was a large part of us getting there. Thank you. I hope you're having fun with all this too. Millions of exclamation marks. Much love, Ryan. Much love back to you, Ryan. You deserve it. Boy, OJ really overperformed. It got a lot more nominations than we thought. We knew that Travolta was on the bubble. We didn't think Schwimmer could get in. Sterling K. Brown was on the bubble. We were not optimistic about Cuba, but boy, it got 22 nominations overall, much more than we thought, and it was an impressive performance. FX is up to 50-some nominations from 30 last year, and they don't even have Louis C.K. show this year.
Wow.
So they just went through the roof with their productions, and of course Fargo brought in around 20 itself. So it was a great day for FX. Congratulations over there.
American Horror Story got 8. Louis Anderson got in for Baskets, one of my favorite performances of the year.
Now that's interesting. I mean, what they give with one hand, they take away with another. Because I mean, every previous season, American Horror Story has been sort of the leader among whatever you're going to call them, mini series, limited series, and so this edition. Now, Yeah, no, it's lots of interesting takes that we'll have lots to write and talk about in the weeks to come because it's several months away. The voting doesn't even start. So, Chris, I mean, one of the things that you do so well is track down episode titles. Everyone's got to now submit an episode that's the best example of their work. But what do we think? I mean, how make or break will those be? I mean, is it from now that there's that expanded pool of voters? Do these nominations make you think that episode submissions might become less important?
Well, that's a great question. I think some of us disagree. It's only the second year we've had this system, so I don't know that we have a lot to go on. I think if you're submitting, definitely submit your best. I mean, some of these are going to be very close races, and that could be the determining factor. Some people will not watch episodes. There's just too many. If you're voting in an acting category, you don't vote for just, say, 3 acting categories anymore. You could vote in all of them. There's no way those people are going to watch all those episodes that vote in all of those categories. But for those that do, follow the guidelines and watch the episodes, definitely it's going to be important to submit properly. We'll start tracking those down. We'll give people today to celebrate. We'll give them tomorrow to talk it over. We'll start tracking them down on Monday.
And not only tracking them down, but if voters may not watch them, but collectively the editors and contributors of Gold Derby do, because there's these very expansive analyses of each episode, the pluses and the minuses, and that sort of. We've got several months to watch and write about all that. It's exciting. Daniel, I asked all the editors and contributors sort of their wish list. Now the must win. So is there one nominee that sort of jumps out at you as somebody maybe a little bit of a surprise that you would love to see win?
Well, really, at the top of the card is the Americans. I thought it had maybe an outside chance. As soon as I saw Matthew Rhys in, when they announced that, I'm like, Russell's in, the Americans is in for Best Drama. I could see it happening. It was the year of the big explosion, so it was by far the best drama of the year. And they didn't even nominate some of the other best dramas of the year. So in that lineup, it is far and away the best show in that best drama series lineup. So it won't, but it should win.
Ellie Kemper got in. She was not nominated last year. House of Cards underperformed, didn't it? It got the top nominations, but again, it didn't get writing or directing, or did it? I don't think it did.
No, I don't think so. I love the Ellie Kemper nomination. That wasn't a sure thing. I mean, she's not, the most well-known of all. A lot of these. Lily Tomlin, is on a low-rated show, but she's so well-known in the industry, and just for Ellie to get in there, I just thought was great. I don't think Kimmy Schmidt got in for writing or directing again, though. That's still
second year in a row.
Considering that's Tina Fey.
And for House of Cards, it did not get writing and directing, but it got 5 guest slots.
Yes.
5.
And
the 2 leads and the supporting.
And that's where, I mean, they're to be commended at the masterful job of promoting it, because we talk about name recognition being important, but gosh, I mean, some of those guest names are not exactly high-profile people.
That's
so,
true.
One of our favorites, Sarah Paulson, she got 2 nominations, but you know who got 3?
Laurie Metcalf, I noticed.
What?
Yes,
Crazy.
for Big Bang, for Horace and Pete, and for Getting On. You know what underperformed today? Billions. We thought that was going to do well, at least in the acting categories, right? It didn't get in. And of course, Big Bang was not only shut out in terms of Jim Parsons and for show, but Mayim Bialik didn't even get in, and it's missing some other key nominations.
They've got their $1 million salaries there. They'll be fine. I think about Schwimmer on he got nominated, I think, in midway through Friends and never did again. So there's there are compensations that.
Okay, and in terms of other headlines results here, and that is, we keep hoping that someday somebody from the CW network will break in. Rachel Bloom did not, unfortunately, and Constance Wu in the Fresh Off the Boat people did.
She did get nominated for a song.
Oh, she did? Oh, okay.
And what is interesting, by the way, in the song category is the song from The Hunting Ground is nominated.
Right.
But only Diane Warren is listed. I thought Lady Gaga was listed at the Oscars.
She was, yeah.
She was. I think there was always some I don't know hard feelings over Lady Gaga being eligible, but I think I don't know what happened between the Oscars and the Emmys, but I guess they got it all sorted out.
Yeah.
By the way, Rachel got nominated for twice. She's also up for main title theme music.
Oh, okay.
So she got in a couple of times. I mean, for a newcomer, at least to most people, getting 2 Emmy nominations, even though she's not in for acting, that's a good start.
For the CW, got I think it also got choreography for Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. So that's basically that's the CW's version of Game of Thrones right there. Is 4 nominations.
But look at, but Laurie Metcalf. The way that the acting branch embraces her is, how many of them were going to louisck.net and getting those episodes? I think that's a case of everywhere they saw her name, they checked it. So if it's a shame she didn't guest host SNL or something. So and she we cover all kinds of awards here. The Tony voters loved her too. She was she got nominated for doing Kathy Bates's role in Misery on stage last season on Broadway. So this is, she can do it all. It's really kind of, so maybe she's only ever won those 3 Emmys from Roseanne. So maybe one of those is hers for this year.
Type in anybody. Go ahead, Marcus. Any other observations you have? Just let's start.
Mom exploded. It's only gotten 1 nomination. Now it got 3 nominations.
Woo! That is an explosion.
And what are the other 2 then? Besides
multi-camera picture editing and cinematography, multi-camera series, and of course Allison Janney. But Ellen Burstyn was really, really predicted to be nominated for Mom, and she didn't get in. She did get in for House of Cards.
Yeah. Perhaps even win. So do you think that, Chris, do you think that because we know they love their records, we like them, they love them, is Allison Janney sort of out front to win her 8th for, that would be the 3rd in a row for Mom?
Good question. They've already reached out to me about episodes, and the thing is, for the voters that do watch the episodes, she always has one where she's got some real drama and some real comedy, and usually it's got some real over-the-top comedy. So she's got a couple she's looking at, including the Ellen Burstyn episode who played her mom. So yeah, she could. She's well loved. Isn't she up for guest actress too on on Masters again? So it's not inconceivable that she would win 9. I think that's Ellen Burstyn's to win there. Isn't that funny that they're up against each other? Mother and daughter there. You asked earlier too, while I've got the microphone for a second, who of all the people this year are we rooting for the most? I got 3 or 4. Ellie Kemper would be one, but she has no shot against Julia. But I would love Courtney B. Vance to beat Bryan Cranston. Not because I love Bryan Cranston, but he's got plenty. He's got 6.
Right.
Courtney, I think he could. I'm predicting him right now. I think the way OJ overperformed, all the way only got 8 compared to the 22. So we just see that I think that they really like the OJ limited series more. I think it could happen.
And Tom, we're talking about records. It's an annual ritual. You and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She'll just be smashing all kinds of records. Is that a given? Is that like one of the slam dunks? Is that one of these ones that's going to be 1 to 100 when we do our odds?
Yes, she can't lose, possibly, especially given how strong the show was today. Last night I got a phone call. I'd love to get. We haven't heard a lot from Daniel, so I'll toss this off to Daniel. A very, very powerful man in the Emmy game called me last night, and he's very much represented in today's nominations. That's all I will say to identify him. But this is somebody who knows this game better than just about anybody else in the business, and he says one race is signed, sealed, delivered, slam dunk, can't lose, and he's not our front runner, and he says it. Rami Malek cannot lose Best Actor. Daniel, what do you say about that?
He can lose it.
But will he win it? Is he further out front than we give him credit for?
I don't think he's out front. What's working in his favor is the fact that the show just came back last night with its season premiere, and I watched it. It was a fantastic season premiere. His performance is outstanding, and his performance was outstanding last year. But the show skews a little younger than, say, House of Cards or Better Call Saul, and And the show underperformed. I mean, Christian Slater didn't get in. B.D. Wong didn't get in. A writing nomination, but no directing. Only 6 nominations total, I think. I was expecting a little bit more than that. And so I'm not sure how much love there is for it. I think the fact that he got the nomination is incredible news. But
it's not incredible news. You knew he'd get the.
It's not surprising. It's not surprising, but it's incredible in terms of it being good news.
Okay.
I don't know. I was a little worried, Tom. I heard a couple of people at a party talking. They weren't talking to me. I just overheard just about, who are you voting for? What do you like? One of them said something about Mr. Robot, and the other one just turned up their. They didn't even know what it was. They thought it was some sci-fi, something they would never even remote because of the word robot in the title. So yeah. I think they ought to be. I mean, I was a little worried about the show and Rami going into today, and I had them predicted. I think most of us did, but I think they ought to be very pleasantly happy with the 6. I really do.
Here's why I think there's something to this Rami thing. And the minute this guy said it to me, it hit a nerve, and I went, God, maybe he's onto something. Here's why. Yes, everything you say is right, and it underperformed. There are now they're aggressively adding more and more new blood to the academy. They've upped the number, the total base number from 18,000 to 22 just in the last 12 months. But of that 22,000, roughly 2,200 are members of the acting branch, maybe slightly more right now. And they're different. They're not those people that you overheard talking. Those geezers who don't know what Mr. Robot is do represent the others. But I think there's something hip and special about the acting branch, and that's where I think that I've got Kevin Spacey out front now, but and
there's no real front runner in that race, is there?
No, there's not. And we
the other thing about somebody like Rami or a show like this, for the people that haven't seen it, I think that's where the episodes do come into play in this regard. Let's take that category. Somebody, is about to vote or about to, sit down to say watch some episodes. They go, oh, I saw Kevin Spacey back in March. I saw Bob Odenkirk a few weeks ago, but I haven't seen this Mr. Robot. I've heard about it. That might be a situation where, on any of these people on shows, or Constance Zimmer on Unreal, let's say, where they go, okay, I'm not going to watch all 6 of these, but I'll watch this one because I want to see what this is about.
Yeah.
So it'll be fresh in their minds, the ones that they watch in that moment.
And he plays a very emotionally bonkers character. Right. Marcus, pipe in here. Can Rami win?
No, it's going to be Kevin Spacey. But I was looking while you guys were talking about AMC. We haven't talked about AMC. The Night Manager got 12 nominations. Better Call Saul got 7. Walking Dead got 2. So very big day for them as well.
But it's still the same number of nominations they had last year. I did see that.
Yeah, but that's really good though when you lose Mad Men, which was
Oh, that's true. Good point. Good point.
I think they did really well to hold on to what they've been getting. And I was coming off that junket I did way back in, I think, early March, a month before Night Manager. I came back to all of you and said, hey, I think this is going to be a real Emmy player because I had watched it over that weekend. And as the weeks went on, more and more people started adding it and some of the actors to their predictions. But it took a long time. People were not predicting it for a long time.
And for Better Call Saul, everyone thought that Michael McKean would take Jonathan Banks' place. Didn't happen. Jonathan Banks is back.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that's a real shame. I thought Michael McKean had an incredible season on there. And Rhea Seehorn, would have loved to have seen her get in.
Well, it's all just proof of when we keep saying they need to go to 10, they need to go to 10, because there's just this list, and when Marcus will write about the snubs, and there'll be all these people, and it's always disappointing, but it's nice. It's nice to see things like I was thrilled that the creators and stars of Amazon's Catastrophe got nominated for writing. It's a British show, and they had won the BAFTA, and they were just. I think that the fact that they got invited to the party will make them thrilled. So, look at
the Writers Guild always steps forward and nominates things that nobody else will nominate. I love that about them.
Yeah.
I think the problem with expanding to 10, this year we saw them expand the writing and directing categories, and what we got, at least in comedy, was we got a couple of extra episodes of Veep for directing. We got so I feel like if we expand some categories to 10, we would have seen just like 5 more Game of Thrones actors get in or 4 more Veep actors get in. It's not actually going to help the people we want to help. It's just going to pad the totals of the shows that are already getting in.
And hey, how about Silicon Valley? Thomas Middleditch finally gets in. It gets 2 directing, 2 writing.
Yep.
This is a show to watch. This could beat Veep. I mean, if you look just at the nominations, this was big for Silicon Valley.
Well, Tom's on the phone, so I have to be Tom for a sec. No. It's going to be Veep. It's got 17 nominations, and so. But I do think, going back to what you were saying, a couple of you about it's Kevin Spacey's. I think that there's so many races. Perhaps not a couple of the program prizes and maybe Julia Dreyfus, but the rest of them, I don't think it's a given for Allison Janney or for Kevin Spacey and for lots of them. And I think that it's going to be a lot of fun for the next couple of months to be writing about. And also having the people watching this, when we launch our winners event in the coming days, making their predictions, because really all of us think we know a lot, but it's the people out there watching. When Chris has just been inputting all of the nominees into the prediction center, we'll have the results, and I'm sure, this is my prediction, is many of our users will do better than any of us when it came to predicting the nominees. So those are the people that you really need to turn to, and we'll be sure to do these kinds of things with the people that led our contest both now for the nominations, and hopefully we can reach out to last year's winners for the Emmy Awards, because these people watch it, their insights are so keen oftentimes.
I'm so mad at myself over Thomas Middleditch. I think I mentioned in a previous Slugfest that I thought he might get in, and I hadn't predicted until like a few days ago, maybe a week ago. I thought, oh, I'm just going to play it safe. I took out Middleditch and put Don Cheadle back in.
Well, because he'd been nominated every year. I mean, it's not surprising you kind of think, this is the thing. We keep accusing the TV Academy voters of reruns. They work in TV and they love reruns because they get paid for reruns. Well, they rerun certain people and not others. So
this Downton Abbey thing was. I mean, we all thought Jim Carter would come back. A lot of us thought Michelle Dockery would come back, and Joanne Froggatt. It was Maggie Smith, the only actor from the show, Who
didn't get nominated last year. Yeah, but Julian Fellows gave her the final line of the final episode of Downton, so she maybe, see again, in those categories, maybe Maggie Smith will have the last word. And I know we talked about her at the Globes. Would she come? Wouldn't she? So maybe she'll actually come and accept an Emmy.
No.
Hey, if Game of Thrones loses, what do you think beats it? I think Downton Abbey beats it.
Oh no.
No, it didn't get directing.
Yeah. So what?
Downton got writing and directing and casting.
You need one or the other. You don't have to have both. Many shows have won with just one or the other.
Christian Slater should have got in. If they loved that show, he would be in.
Well, you don't know who's pissed off. That's one of the biggest bad boys in Hollywood.
This could be the curse of the Golden Globe.
It is. How many times he's been arrested and pissed off people and showed up late on? I don't know, but I'm saying that that may be the reason. We never know that there are. He should have gotten in, of course.
It's just further evidence of just how competitive so many of these categories are. That there's.
By the way, that was a phone call I just got from Entertainment Tonight. I've been on a lot of times this week doing segments, and I was supposed to go in right now to do a shoot, and I didn't. They have to wrap up the show in the next 90 minutes and ship it out on satellite feed. But we've been talking all morning, the producers and I was just getting their feedback, which is important to hear, right? And they do think it is the most diverse year ever for the Emmys, with Sterling K. Brown getting in, and Cuba Gooding, and many other people that we didn't even think were on. We knew Sterling was on the bubble, but some others, and then Uzo not in there. But they had. I shouldn't be telling this out of school, but they had a whole shoot ready to go for Rachel Bloom. They really believed that she was getting in, and then it's like Judy in the hospital accepting the Oscar for A Star Is Born, and the cameras are all set up. She's lying there in bed at the hospital with her baby, and they're all ready for their acceptance, and then she loses to Grace Kelly. They had to tape down the whole set. But that just happened to poor Rachel Bloom with Entertainment Tonight.
Well, she's got those 2 nominations on the creative side, and you know what? If she wins one of those and has an Emmy on her mantle, nobody, who's maybe she won't bother getting the nameplate put on.
And she won at the Critics' Choice. Did she win the Globe too?
Yes. Yeah.
So she's got enough.
Exactly. So,
And she's
final
the type of
thoughts,
person
Daniel.
that-
We haven't plugged you enough. Before we sign off here, any final thoughts, view from the Hill about today's nominations?
The main thing, as I've gone into some more of these categories and I've gone and looked into counts, a lot of shows that I really, really loved, even shows that got in, I wish they had done better. And I think a lot of it's on the movie miniseries side where People vs. O.J. Simpson took up so much. But American Crime, it got in, but it's got 4 nominations down from 10. Roots underperformed, no actors, writers, or directors. 0 nominations for Show Me a Hero on HBO, which is one of the best programs of the last season. So while I've got The Americans to hold on to and some other really, really great inclusions, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt also underperformed. They got rid of Jane Krakowski and only nominations. Down, even though Ellie Kemper got in. So I've got The Americans, and then I've got some other shows that did well, but not quite well enough.
Marcus, you're next. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just going to say Rachel Bloom, she's the type of person that's going to go to the creative arts, so we will see her there and congratulate her on her 2 nominations. That's huge. Sarah Paulson, this is your year. I think you got it, Sarah.
Well, a friend of mine told me yesterday, who was talking to Sarah recently, and mentioned to her, every single expert at Gold Derby has you winning, without one exception, every single one. And of course, you know what she said, that we've been the jinx of her from the beginning. We always have. But this time it's 100%, Sarah. This time we're going to be right for sure. Chris, let's go to you next, and then end with Paul.
We were talking earlier in the week about how HBO has so much dominance, but they fell by 32 nominations.
They did, to 90-something this year, yeah.
So, and they will not be able to win all the program categories because they do not have that limited series with Show Me a Hero. So last year they did win every program category except Variety Talk, which they probably will make up for that this year.
Yeah. And Paul, final thought?
Well, it's obscure, but we've got a potential EGOT winner in Alan Menken. He got nominated for a song for an ABC show that's been canceled called Gallivant. So that's the race I'll be looking at. Don't forget, the creative arts are spread out over 2 nights in the preceding weekend, and we'll be predicting lots of categories for that. Maybe we could predict best song this year with Rachel Bloom versus Alan Menken, and
that'd be fun.
Yeah, so
Empire's in there too.
Oh, an Empire, yeah, exactly. So that'll be
favorite. Well, my final thought is I wish Mr. Robot had done better, but I think it can actually take some top gold, and that will be exciting for a bona fide fan like me. And we have a lot to talk about. Kit Harington can win. There are major upsets that can loom here. So Emmy season has now officially begun, the final trek of the race. Yes, it's another 2 months before we're going to see the winners, but that's why we love it. We get to just dish the Derby till then. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you soon. Goodbye.